yum 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 yum. Nayela pere, mat nayela bese. Ilhara yum 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 yum. Nayela pere, muna kapela, chora kakisa, bayari hela pere, balungana baire. Tupa ani, aingping tuma, asanta tapage, kayu tuvitele, asankele yura, babantu viyara, uyari hela pere, bongana baire. Tupa ani, asikuluja tuma, ikina kine, nkile sikuluja kine, titatia, undidle sikuluja tia, asatasua, nzadle sikuluja suwa.
All right. Good afternoon. It's yet another Saturday afternoon, and we are here with the Assembly. We are based out here in the diaspora, and we are very passionate about our dear country, Ghana. So we come your way every Saturday afternoon to have a conversation about some of the important issues that have emerged in our country in the course of the week. So with me here today to do justice to the issues would be Kingsley Osei, who is a lawyer based in Canada. He and I happen to grow up in the same town, which is Bolgatanga. And today I'm honored to have him on this platform. We belong to the same, social media platforms. We have private conversations, but today we get to come live and have conversations about the pertinent issues in our country. So Kingsley, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm still waiting on my other guest, who is Dr. Zita Seshi. But today, the issues that we're going to be discussing are, Galamsey has emerged as the key issue going into the election in December this year. And so it continues to be the main issue of discussion in all the political platforms in Ghana. All the major media platforms and networks talk about Galamsey day in, day out. About 3 weeks ago, a number of Ghanaian youth who embarked on a demonstration over Galamsey were arrested, and there's a whole drama around the arrests. We're going to talk about the manner in which these people have been treated. We had this conversation last week, but we think it's still important for us to continue to have it. Also, again, over the issue of Galamsey, organized labor had earlier on indicated that they were going to go on a strike over the government's handling of the issue of Galamsey. Well, it turned out that they reneged on that. And again, that has its own drama because there's some organizations within the Trade Unions Congress who are not in line with the leadership of the organization, which is the UTAG, the organization, the labor organization representing the universities in Ghana. And we'll have a conversation about that as well. So, but while we wait for the next guest, let me begin by playing a video around the issue of organized labor. And then we'll come back.
When they were going to meet government, they didn't tell us. But they called us. When they were going to meet government, they didn't tell us. But they called us that, well, they've met government and government has said something new. And so we were excited. I wanted to come and listen to what new government has. So you said they called you? I'm talking about the leadership of organized labor, Bampo and then Joshua and Sam. So we came and then we wanted to listen to what was new. We met in a meeting here and then they came with a prepared statement. And then they read the statement to us to the effect that government had done things well, and government has enhanced response to our demand, and so then they are calling off the strike. That was after you guys in the media were asked to step out. And so some of us said that, you called us into a meeting to discuss. So how come you came with a prepared statement? And they apologized and said, well, they were just reading, they wanted to discuss. So give and take, we raised our views, we made our points, and we realized that the very things that the government said it was going to do, which we discussed on Monday, are the same things that the government is offering to do. We don't have any serious variation from what we were told on Monday, from what we are being told today. But suddenly, Joshua Ansah and Bampo said government has shown commitment, and so let us call off the strike. Well, our view as UTAG, yes, as of yesterday, the 16 public universities, we had voted to go on strike on, as our response, to the fight against illegal mining. And we did not even, I looked at the motion that was tabled, it was not even tied to what organized labor wanted to do. And so I'm in touch with my national president. We are holding our own meeting this evening. And then I'm telling you that we are not going to go by this charade. We are not going to go by this show of incompetence and gross disrespect to other unions for constituting the labor, constituting organized labor. Clearly, they came with an agenda. Look, there are so many things that are being said about the leadership of organized labor and the kinds of things that happened here. Okay, festers those bogus charges and allegations. I mean, otherwise, if you want to meet with organized labor, why do you come with a prepared speech? And what was read to you was the same as the document, the speech that they brought to us. And so everything that was said, contrary to what they had prepared, was not taken on board. And so must we by all means do things to support a government's position, even if we are dying as a people? We are saying that if the government is serious, if the president is serious, at least let there be a temporary suspension, not even ban. If you can ban, let people know that we are suspending, and then these are the interventions that we are putting in place so that people will know that we are serious. But we have adopted the pipeline approach. In Ghana, everything say it is in the pipeline and all that, and clearly no deadlines. Some of us were even we even wanted to be given the opportunity to say that, well, if this is the route to go, then let us even subject government to strict deadlines. They said they will not let us talk.
Does that suggest that even in the meeting you were not allowed to bring?
In the meeting we were not. I made my first point. Others, a few people spoke, and if you are speaking, then the chairman gets up and says he doesn't want you to talk. And so, if you want to make further suggestions, we didn't finish the meeting, and they called you guys to be to join the meeting. So we did not finish with our discussion before we realized they had called the media in, and so the meeting did not end. Then they just got up to read the statement that had been prepared already to you.
Are we to see UTAG on strike tomorrow?
Well, we are going to meet this evening. We have voted already. The 16 public universities have all voted unanimously and overwhelmingly to say that they want to go on an industrial action. And we don't care about what disorganized labor wants to do. We would be the conscience of Ghana. We would defend Ghanaians, and we will ensure that we defeat this fight. We will defeat this existential threat that confronts all of us. If disorganized labor would not want to do it, we will do it.
For example, what does this mean to
the leadership of organized labor as being incompetent to describe
given the kinds of things that happen here? Okay, you do not call a meeting and then go with a prepared speech. Otherwise, prepared speech that are conclusive. The speech has its own conclusion. We had not spoken. We had not discussed. And then you came, and then when we had not even discussed it, so we are calling off the strike. On what basis? What was the basis? It means you sat in the comfort of your bedroom with the politician who manipulated you to come and read this to us. I mean, they have people they can manipulate, but not some of us. Thank you. Please, I am upset. I do not want to.
For example, I wanted to ask, what does this mean to the labor from you where the
They do not want us to be organized. They do not want unity. And I'm saying that if they don't want to go on this tangent of fighting against this existential threat, UTAG, we would be the conscience of the nation who fight and defeat this existential threat. Thank you very much.
All right. So, King, I'll begin with you. Professor Jampo here is alleging manipulation by government because their front has been broken. I mean, the earlier indication from organized labor was that they were going to embark on a nationwide strike. And it turns out that they have a meeting and it's inconclusive, and he's alleging that they've been manipulated by the government. We had praised them earlier on because, in fact, last we had a conversation about organized labor, and the position was that they showed strength when it came to the sale of the hotels, right? The SNIT hotels that were offloading to Brian Achampong. Organized labor took government on, and they rescinded that decision. So we were actually praising them and saying that if they had taken similar approach with respect to certain national issues over the years, would have had a lot of bipartisan results. But, you know, it turns out that we cannot really trust them forever to really, stand up for what is right for the country. But before I come to you, let me introduce my other guest. I have Peter Naruk Cook, who is the Deputy Communications Officer for the MPP in Seattle, right? The Seattle branch of MPP. And then I have my usual Dr. Zita Seshi, who is a sociologist, a researcher based out in Calgary now, right? So you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So King, yeah, go ahead. Let's hear your take on your very good friend, Professor Jampo.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, as you indicated, Jampo is a very good friend. We were mates at Legon, and we were also we were TAs at the department during our national service. So I know him very well, if not. Okay. I understand his frustration, okay, because usually when a group, excuse me, when a group decide to embark on a particular course of action, and as the action develop or the processes develop, and there appear to be some crack in the front of the group, it is always frustrating for the side that do not agree. Having said that, what I excuse me, what I will say is that the Galamsey issue is an existential threat. He's right about that, and therefore, if they've decided to embark on a demonstration to draw the government attention, I think that everybody should be on board in putting pressure on the government to take a course of action that will save the future of the country. What again, on the side of the government, I do not think that they also sit down on concern. Each of the sides will always try to pull as much strength as they can in order, because when the demonstration proceeds, obviously is going to impact on the credibility and then the public perception of the government. So the government will also work very hard in order to make sure that the demonstration does not come on, or to let the public know that they are taking action. What I would have loved to see or know is the content of the statement that Professor Jampo stated that the prepared statement that they came out with. That would have informed us as to whether they have been manipulated as he wants us to believe, or there is a proper basis for which the organized labor decided that they do not want to proceed with the intended action. So I can understand that UTAG is part of the labor force in Ghana, and they should have been part of the meeting. From what he's saying, it appears that they were sidelined. I don't know if I'm right about that, but
Yeah,
that
he is alleging that it was the leadership of TUC that had the meeting with government.
okay.
Yeah, but they weren't part of it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, on that score, I do not think that it is proper, because if sections of labor have agreed to take a certain course of action, and I don't know why the UTAG were excluded from the meeting with the government. Well, I would not say that I'm surprised, or I don't know why, because this is a political season, right? It's a political season. There are a lot of interest. There are a lot of interest. So even though Professor Jampo is alleging that the leadership of the TUC, in this case, as you've redefined, the labor front, might have been manipulated. But on the other side, why would the government wants to meet only TUC but not meet with UTAG? It's a question that we need to delve into in order
Okay.
to understand, So I understand the frustration of, for example, but I think we should have been made aware what the content of the statement that TUC came prepared with. Then we will better have a picture to make an informed statement on it. So at this point, I will not buy the fact that the TUC leadership has been bought or manipulated, because the government cannot also sit down and say, okay, this demonstration should go on in the middle of a political season. No, the
Yeah.
government wants to do everything possible to make sure that there's a reason, I mean, the labor front sees reason, and not to talk about the disruption, in the services that the labor, provides to the public. So again, I would have loved to see what the statement that the TUC came out with.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, Zita, for instance, usually when it comes to Parliament, we've always said that Parliament in Ghana is divided. It's too partisan, but when it comes to issues that concern their remuneration, right? Especially, for instance, um, the common issue that there's always unanimous agreement among parliamentarians is the approval of car loans. So we've often accused them that, well, you guys are divided and you never work together when it comes to pertinent issues in the country. But when it comes to things that affect your personal bottom line, you are united. Can we say the same of organized labor? Because when it came to the issue of the hotels, it affected them directly because this had to do with their pension, eventual pension benefits. And so they were united. There was no broken front. And they pushed government to basically rescind its earlier on decision to sell the hotels. But when it comes to this issue of Galamsey, yes, Galamsey is an existential threat. It doesn't threaten people immediately, right? The threat might come later on. So can we say that it's a similar case here where there's no direct impact on them, especially with respect to their pocketbooks, right? So, they can make a decision and pull back based on government intervention.
Yes, no, I do agree with that analogy. And happy Thanksgiving to all our viewers in Canada. It's a Thanksgiving weekend. I know Americans have theirs in November, but for some of us, once we're in Thanksgiving, the year has wrapped up for us. Nothing major to do than to just sit and relax and enjoy. But I do agree with what you were saying. And unfortunately, Kingsley, we are in the same country, but I currently disagree with you in sense that I believe that part of the organized labor or disorganized labor, as Jampo calls it, have been compromised. And in every movement, any intelligent person will always look for the weakest link. That is if I'm a politician and I see people protesting and I see things that will go against me, the very first thing I'm going to do is to find the weakest link. And when you clamp down on the weakest link, you destabilize the movement. It might be temporarily, but it allows you to buy some time to organize your thoughts and how to move. And so for me, I believe that part have been compromised. And like I posted on our page, like this whole Galamsey thing, it's not just affecting people in Ghana. According to an environmental scientist based in the USA, she's a Ghanaian who was interviewed on Joy News. She talked about her friend at the Food and Drugs Board in Ghana testing high metals in the foods that are imported to North America. And so if you're Ghanaian, you're in America, you're going to the African store, you're Ghanaian, you're in Canada, you're going to the African store, you are a Ghanaian in the UK or in the Europe going to the Ghanaian store to buy any staple, they tested for high metals. And so we are not isolated from that particular repercussions of Galamsey. It's unfortunate, but if Kingsley is saying that he doesn't believe that part have been bought, why is it that UTAG and entire 16 universities are agreeing to still go on strike? Because academics, we do understand the repercussions of this, and I hope that we can all rise to be non-partisan in this particular issue and just make sure that we are calling for the right changes to be made. Like right now, we are calling for a state of emergency. It doesn't mean the whole Ghana needs to go on a shutdown, but certain regions where mining activities are are predominant needs to be watched carefully, and the right things need to be done. So I believe that on this particular issue, organized labor, part of them have been compromised, but at the end of the day, that is a political strategy. If I am a politician and I am the MP of a particular constituency and there's dissent in that particular constituency, the first thing you're always going to do is to find the weakest link. And once you are able to clamp down or buy the weakest link or the conscience of the weakest link, that is it. Like nobody's above corruption. I always say it, we all have a price. It's just that some of us have a higher price than other people. So I'm not a fan of Prof because of the famous documentary that came out that affected me. I'm the queen of I'm a gender advocate, and everybody knows me that no, when it comes to Dr. Z, I'm on it on the gender issue. So I'm not a huge fan, but for this time around, we have to be objective in our understanding of people. So in this case, I do side with him. I believe part have been compromised and they did not stay true to the demands that we are making. But again, I'm not going to blame government, because if I was in power, that is how I'm going to behave. Anybody who's in power, you're always going to find the weakest link, and that is understanding how power works and how to contain things here and there. It is unfortunate, but I'm inclined to agree with your thought process that in this particular issue, organized labor was not resolute, and they didn't have one conviction. And because they didn't have one conviction, part of the movement was where kind of manipulated or compromised in some sense. But I am solidly, as an academic, I'm solidly behind UTAG in this one, and we want them to continue with the strike. Like one professor said, their children are also in the universities, and they will not do anything to deliberately impact their children, because they might be professors, but their own children are also scattered in different universities across across Ghana. And so, I am inclined to support the UTAG movement and how they are staying on business and making sure that this issue is resolved. We know that it won't be resolved immediately, but we are hoping that government will kind of take an action to show us, the citizens, that they are taking our concerns seriously, and then policies will be revised in a collective way, so we can all make sure that there is a better Ghana for the unborn children, even those of us abroad are not spared. And thank God some of us are not a big fan of African. I'm not a big fan of Ghanaian food. I try to just go with whatever I can eat, you know. I'm not, so I'm like, for once, something is working in my favor. The only time I eat Ghanaian food is when I'm in America because I'm lazy and my sister-in-laws will cook all the juicy, you know, jollof and kinky and banku and okra soup and all that. So for now, I'm resting easy,
Okay.
but
All right. You become a Canadian, I guess.
I'm a full-blooded Canadian, but
Yeah. You are one of the people that our boys famously refer to as former Ghanaians.
oh yes. After being ostracized and heavily bullied on social media by Ghanaians, I mean, I think I need to just take a backseat when it comes to my patriotism for now. But I know that I will wave my Ghana flag very soon when things pick up again. But yeah, for now, yes, I'm a backdoor Ghanaian.
Okay. All right. Peter, so are you going to accept the argument that your party has compromised the front of the organized labor, right? Given the fact that we are in the campaign season and every government would do everything within its power to quell any form of dissent, right, or public uprising against the ruling government. Are you sticking to that argument? Because I mean, Zita disagrees with UTAG, but he agrees that if he was government, he would do everything within her power. She would do everything within her power to look for the weakest link in that leadership, just because of the fact that it's politics, right? What's your position on this?
Well, good morning, colleagues. Colleague panelists. I'm just a little bit under the weather, so just pardon me if I sound a certain way.
Okay.
And at least this is my first time of being on this platform. Thanks so much, Mark.
Yeah.
So look, Zita just hit the nail right on the head. You know, it's political season. I mean, what do you expect? There is no political party in power that will just allow any demonstration and this is a demonstration of a big magnitude. I mean, you are having a whole organized labor. I mean, that's a big one to allow something like that just go on without any incident, without having to infiltrate as a government. It is and it's human nature. This is a political season. Dr. Jampo has his favorite. He has his made. We know his stance. I mean, quote unquote. He may be a professional by in the lecture room and all that, but we know his stance and we know what he is. I mean, there are some of these people in organized labor who just are power. They want to be like power brokers, and they want it to go this way. They will keep doing things in a certain way for it to go that way. You understand? And 2 months, literally, barely 2 months to elections, and you want to allow such a demonstration to happen. So Zita just hit the nail right on the head. Okay, I don't, and it's not like government is yes, the weakest link. I mean, it's and every demonstration we always have the weakest link. We always have people. Sometimes even the government or whoever is in power will put his people there. Okay, because there are people in other organized labor who side with the government in so many things. Okay, in so many ways. Maybe they are even affiliates. But then maybe low key and all that. So I don't think. I don't think I will falter the government for doing that. It is just the how it works to have people play by your game plan. Okay, by your game, because anything that is happening right now, if it goes negative, it's just going straight, and it's so fresh that, as our former president would say, we have short memories. So it is just so near that if it gets there, they can just remember that, oh yes, we are fighting Galamsey. But the Galamsey fight is not just. It's rather unfortunate that things, with time, things are just getting worse by the day. But these things it's something that has been there, and that's what I remember. I read an article by an NDC apparatchik, for lack of a better word, saying that it's like having a doctor or a nurse taking care of people who die in their hands. Doesn't mean that we should stop doctors or nurses from practicing, or we should close down the hospitals. So it's like Galamsey is like that. We know that.
I mean, I don't quite agree with that analogy.
No, I'm not saying you agree. I'm not saying you agree. I am just giving you I mean, what people just do to make sure some of these things happen. But in all, they are proposals. I don't know what, especially the other political party, especially NDC, is doing about it. They are proposal that, okay, yes, we are going. You could come to, you could be the next people to be in government in the next few months. Let's go in. Let's have a signed document to have a roadmap to say that, look, this is where the country says we are going. In case of Galamsey, I don't know what the biggest opposition party is doing. And I'm thinking that organized labor should actually, or for example, should actually put this energy he's going all about to bring these people, like, let's bring it all political parties to the table. I mean, to say that if anything, MPP, NDC, you can come into government like the way Otunfo did in the last elections, took them to KNUST to sign a peace pact. Let's sign a document to say that this is the roadmap. No matter the political party that comes in, this is where we should go with Galamsey. If it is to stop them from mining near water bodies, we are stopping them. It doesn't care who. I mean, it doesn't matter who comes into power. But it looks like there's no, people just want to get power, because as for the promises, we'll make the promises. And immediately, and I know organized labor knows that immediately after elections, whatever they do, yes, they can rant and rant. And most of the times, first year, second year, you don't have that political, you tell, oh, let's give them time. Let's give this government time. And then by the time you realize it's election year again. So but I just know that it is just part of every government to make sure that they are putting things in place to safeguard their, because I mean, the hotel do anything to win power. So opposition party is throwing everything in Galamsey, but we also know what is happening. We know what they have done in the area of Galamsey. This is not an MPP thing. This is not like Mahama will say about power. The doom. So he will tell it was not. It's not. He didn't create it. It's been there since. And Galamsey has been there with that. It is now, what did Mahama even say? That gold is now virtually the bedrock of the Ghanaian economy. So he will just come in. They all promise to do it better. But right now, the situation, as we say, and we know the replication is not today, it's already been affecting us. Some of us may be out of the country or part, but we still feel the heat, because we know what it's doing. And our hospitals are being filled with all the ailments that are coming up. But what can we do if we don't have political will to say that this is where, the country, not even just a political party, should have the will that this is the way we should go in Galamsey, and then we will go that way. But as for organized labor, we will keep, every political party will keep organizing them, not necessarily disorganize them to favor them. And that is what I would say about that.
Okay.
Zita just made the thing so simple for everybody. It is not about you and I. It is about what they are also getting, and so they will always, the weakest link will always be pulled out, and you see that the whole organization will be crumbling down.
Okay. Well, but yeah. Okay. So let me just show you this video.
This is
this is a committee in Parliament.
River.
They're showing us different water bodies and how they currently look like.
And we also went to the Pule River. We couldn't find hope anywhere. There was no succor, no solace. Everywhere we went to, this is Manfi. When we went to Prague, also Terry, the Oda River, no hope, and Cobra, Sylvan West. Then River Ofen. And this is the Hone River. So you see, this is what we are dealing with. It's only the Volta River that gave us a little hope. You know, even that we are hearing that it is just a matter of time, because the solar area, we are told that the white water is beginning to interface and defile the Volta River as well. So you see, the Ghanaian people seeing this don't expect their leaders, all of us including all of us. This one is not, we don't have to, we all have to take collective responsibility, because as Parliament, we are also approving these policies, these resource allocations, these institutions who come to report to us and justify why a certain allocation was properly utilized. We've been doing all these anti-galamsey operations for years, which this House has approved, running to billions. And every year we appear to be complicit somehow when we approve judicious use of the previous year's resources and then give the institutions more resources to go and stop galamsey. And yet this is where we are as a country.
All right. Okay, so we get the point. And I mean, I like the fact that there's a public display like this, right? So that if it happens that they eventually come into power come January 2025, I think there would be the urgency for them to address the issue, just given the fact that they have made a public display like this, essentially blaming the current government. But there's a group that I think we need to give credit to, and that is the Catholic Bishops' Conference, right? So I don't know which day in particular, but in the course of the week, the Catholic bishops led a demonstration over galamsey. I have a clip here, and then we'll talk about it because I think I have a couple of you here who are skeptical about the church as an organization, but in this regard, I think they deserve some grace when it comes to showing leadership with respect to an issue that we have all described as a threat to our nation. All right. Okay, so this wasn't just a demonstration, but there was, in the midst of it, there was prayer going on, calling on the divine to intervene on our behalf. So, King, I don't know if you have a take on this and the role of the church in all of this, but I think they deserve a mention here.
Okay. Yeah, certainly. But before I go on that, let me make a comment about the statement that Dr. Zita made with regards to the scientists in the US who made a statement about the yams from Ghana being contaminated or having high levels of metals. Yes, I also heard that statement. And then say in law, that is a typical statement we call hearsay, right? Okay. But we are not here to discuss law, so that is fine. But I want us to be very careful about propagating that statement, because under no circumstance, nowhere that that scientist can prove that the high levels of metals, that are found in yams, if any, can be traced to galamsey or any other. Yes, again, me and you have lived in Mogatanga. We know there are certain parts of Upper East which has gold, but they don't grow yams there. Where yams come from in Ghana, there's no records, as far as I know, that you grow yams there. And when it comes to environmental issues, cross contamination or even proof of environmental factors as a causation in US and Canada, it has been litigated over and over and over and over. So when you make a sweeping statement without substantiation, you don't have any, especially when you're quoting somebody else, you are putting that person's credibility online. So what I would just say that let's be very careful about repropagating general statement, because sometimes we may dig ourselves in a very big hole. Anyway, yeah, with regard to the Catholic bishops, our Catholic Church going on quote demonstration or a prayer walk to draw the government attention to the galamsey issue, I think is in the right direction. The Catholic Bishops' Conference has been a vocal voice over the years, in social issues, religious issues, and more, and also in political issues. So I think at this point, they also have to be heard. Until recently, when church has been proliferated. Catholic bishops have been or the Catholic Church has been very respected institution across the globe due to their discipline. Okay, due to their discipline in governing every institutions that they run. I know, in the U.S. and Canada right now, they are being put under scrutiny when it comes to the residential schools, for instance, in Canada, and then the U.S. when we talk about sexual crimes by the church. But we cannot deny the fact that the Catholic have a certain structure of management which orders society, and those who went to Catholic schools in Ghana will attest to it. So generally, if they were in charge in managing Ghana's resources according to the blueprint of the Catholic management, I don't think that we'll be where we are today. So it is in the right direction that they have to be head. And when we contrast the Catholics, procession, demonstration, or prayer walk to the what is the name of the other group? That's also Baker Vomo's group. Forgetting the name.
The organized
think-
Democracy Hub.
Oh,
Democracy
okay, yeah, Democracy Hub. Yeah, if we contrast it to them, you can see that the difference, right? The fact that the church itself raising the issue in itself shows the urgency of the matter. Okay, so in certain cases, the approach to raising an issue of social concern, political concern, societal concern in any other thing matters. Okay, and everybody have a way of doing things. Okay, everyone, and I wouldn't, I don't know what better way or any alternative way that the Catholic Church would have raised the issue than the manner that they carried out this peaceful walk from one church premises to another through a span of about roughly 3 kilometers or 3 to 4 kilometers, which is commendable. It's commendable. So in effect, what I would say is let's commend them, and I believe that the government cannot ignore the Catholic Church concern, and I believe that they will also probably have a prepared statement to the government at the end of the work to say that, hey, this is what we want you to do. This is the action that we think the government needs to take. Because ultimately, yes, the government is responsible. The government is responsible for whatever happens within the country. Whether it is directly, involved in creating the problem or not, they are the last resort. So the government, the church have done well by raising the issue.
Okay, so Zita, has this taken away your skepticism about the activities of churches in Ghana these days?
Yes, and you know me, I'm not one to back down, and I want to respond to Kingsley. I think we need to tread cautiously when we say that, I am quoting somebody. I said the person was on Joy News. I believe Joy is a credible news agency. Also, secondly, okay, I'm not sure if I'm still on, but also secondly,
you are. Give me a second. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, secondly, the scientist I quoted, who is based in America, has a PhD in this train, referenced a colleague or somebody in Ghana's Food and Drugs Board as, saying that also you do not need to, plant yams in areas where mining is happening for us to see or for there to be metals in it, because there are people in Tema and Accra who open their taps and their taps are looking gray and brown, and it is those some of these waters that are contaminated that might be used to how do you call it, water some of these plants. And so I do not like to engage in semantics here and there. We are all concerned, and as researchers we can always draw inferences. We can infer that perhaps these, it doesn't mean that, you know, we are making facts that is enlightening our credibility. So I don't want to let this, I'm not intending to respond as a banter or anything, but as somebody who has a PhD, and not saying that I know everything. I feel like, you know, you could respond, but we need to tread cautiously in terms of how we are addressing colleagues here. And that's all I have to say on that. On the issue of religion and politics, you know my take on it. I'm not a fan of religious bodies, but I would agree with Kingsley on this perspective that the Catholic Church has lived up to its expectations. I think I've shared on this platform before that my father is a Catholic. Even my name Zita is the name of a Catholic saint. And so my father is a Catholic, and when he died, despite the fact that he was not active in the church and have done more for a charismatic church that my mother was going to, they rose up to the occasion and they demonstrated outstanding love. And I was impressed by the way they conducted themselves. So based on that, I am inclined to 100% agree with Kingsley on this one, that for sure, based on the way the Catholic Church have conducted themselves, like again, he has cited, it doesn't mean that they are without blame. We've seen different forms of accusations against Catholic priests across parts of the world, but they also do have a segment in their modus operandi that makes them responsible for society in some sense, that allows them to live up to that expectations when it comes to being part of welfare in society. And so I commend them for going on the demonstration. I'm not sure if the prayer is for divine intervention. I think it's just the way they operate. You know, you can't be going, I don't think Catholic priests and nuns can be going on demonstration and chanting different types of things. They can only say a prayer, right? So the only part I'm inclined to disagree, I got yeah, I think Kingsley's giving feedback or somebody's giving feedback. But yeah, the only part I'm inclined to disagree is the prayer part, because you know the problem is caused by human factors, and it would take human factors and human decision for us to kind of reverse it or create some sort of sustainable solutions for it. So yeah, the Catholic Church is winning on this one. I think they've done well. And I hope that in the subsequent days, the charismatic churches, who are the bloodsuckers of the Christian dom, you know, always asking for seed sowing and consistent tithes from people, from their members, will also take a stand for us to know where they are in terms of their position on Galamsey. But where to go to the Catholic Church and their peaceful protest. And I like the fact that it's just leadership and everybody just being part of that movement. I think it gives those who are staunch Christians some level of hope that they are all not corrupt, and that when it matters most, they will be able to take a stand. You're on mute, Agana, you're on mute.
Okay, so I'm somebody who benefited from the Catholic Church. I went to a Catholic school. I would say the most prestigious school in the Upper East region, and we gained a lot from the experience that we got there, the discipline and everything else. And of course, I would side with them on this occasion for taking leadership, for demonstrating leadership on this matter. But I would want us to move, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have King on this show today, which has to do with the issue of the treatment of the democracy hub demonstrators. a group of young people went on demonstration over Galamsey roughly about 3 weeks ago, right? They were arrested. Some were held for over 2 weeks without bail. There are questions of whether the crimes that were alleged warrant holding them in custody without bail. Give me a second. So I'm going to play a video of some of the protesters who were taken in. I think they were in a bus heading from the court, heading to, perhaps they were taking them back to custody. And some of the things that they said. And when I come back, we will have King's legal opinion on this matter, given that he is our resident lawyer.
2 weeks in cell. It's damn bad. Damn bad. We are not armed robbers. How can they lock us up? 2 weeks in cell. Deserve our rights. We are Ghanaians. How is it like in cells? How is it like in the cell? We are not having it easy. We are all suffering. We deserve our rights. I am not a thief. I am not an armed robber. The armed robbers and the thieves are there. Let's learn from them. So listen, how is it like in the cells?
3 days kenke. They feed us with 4 days kenke to eat. 3 people, 1 sardine. 3 people, 1 sardine to share. 3 people, 1 sardine.
How many times?
Twice in a day. Twice. Condemn food. Even a deaf person don't eat that food.
You mean it's twice in a day?
Twice in a day.
Ghana.
Ghana
is for us.
We never eat their food.
Ghana does
But
not
their food
belong
is
to anybody.
poisonous. We can never eat their food.
How is the condition like in the cells? How is the condition like in the cells?
21 people in 1 room at Abraka. Go and check today. 21 people in 1 room. Some of them go to coma. I have evidence.
Okay, so King, is all of this necessary? Because I heard, for instance, the Deputy Attorney General on radio saying that he, as Attorney General, is not in charge of giving bail to accused persons in court, and that it's the discretion of the sitting judge. But I would imagine that the prosecution would normally make a case also that bail should be denied. I mean, are we going to bury our heads in the proverbial sand and say that government doesn't really have a role to play in all of this? If we agree that holding people without bail over crimes that would normally be regarded as misdemeanors, it's not the right thing to do.
Thank you. Yeah, there are different dimensions to this particular case. There's political dimension, and there's legal dimension, and then there's public opinion dimension. Okay. I would have loved that. I would have want the public opinion. Of course, public opinion is always, here and there. I would have wanted us to limit to strictly legal processes. Okay, I've seen a lot of comments and written opinions and commentary directly blaming the president. And recently, I saw the president granting interview to one, I think, France 24 TV, and then they asked this question about people being jailed. Okay, I know from our political history in Ghana, coming from the military regime where the power always comes from above, as you know. So Ghanaians have now got used to the idea that, power from above, and therefore whatever the junior officer has to do is based on the command that is issued, from the military top hierarchy. It is difficult for us to, as it were, shed our belief or our informed opinion from this kind of historical antecedent. When we directly, in our democratic dispensation, when we directly blame the president or we ask the president such questions, there are two implications. Number one, we are saying that we don't believe in our democratic processes. Number two, we don't believe in the power of our courts and our police services. Once we begin to have that mentality, it goes a long way to affect the development of our institutions. And therefore, even when in peacetime, quote unquote, in ordinary times, in our everyday interaction, we don't want to, use the normal legal processes to resolve conflicts between two people. And to use the overused word, it is dangerous, for our democracy. Okay.
But if there's obvious evidence that that process is being tampered with by the powers that be, shouldn't we say it because it would create the impression that our institutions are not working? How about if they are not really working?
Okay. Now, and now you've used the word obvious. Okay. When we
There's evidence. There's evidence.
When we evident.
Yes.
Obvious evident. Okay. Obvious evident means everybody is aware. We know.
I mean, while we can engage in semantics over the words that are used, but I mean, you know what I mean, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want us to put it into some sort of we are trying to, as it were, understand the context of all this issue.
Yeah.
I want to put it, from democratic point of view, legal point of view, and then the public. If we tend to use the word that the public always use, we tend to follow the crowd instead of doing an informed analysis of the issue. Okay. When we come to the legal aspect of this demonstrators case, yes, the obvious fact is, and again, I will agree that people going on demonstration, being arrested, denied bail. But according to the Ghana Constitution, people they are supposed to be brought before court within 48 hours for bail hearing. They not be granted bail, but for bail hearing, if they are due for bail, yes. And in my opinion, yes, they should have been granted bail, because the grounds upon which people can be denied bail is if they are, they are at risk for flight. Okay, they cannot be traced and all those things, and especially if the crime that they've been charged with is a serious crime, then those people have to be denied bail, those individuals. But I don't see that in this case.
Okay.
Having said that, this is a political season. We are in a very charged, volatile environment. I don't know what informed the police, number one, to even arrest them. Well, no. Let me take that back, because we also, I saw videos showing that these individuals have blocked access to public road, especially to a hospital. Okay, where it has come out that even some individuals have died as a result of that. That is an accessory to crime if you can be traced directly that these things have happened to. The people died as a result of the blocking of the road. Okay, they can be charged, up to the point of manslaughter.
Yes,
possible. Okay, but
they weren't charged.
But
so we can use that as a basis for denying bail.
That is the question that I'm saying. Was that the basis upon which they were initially charged?
Okay,
that may not be the case. Okay. Again, I don't know what the police know. Okay, with regard to this political season, what has been planned. Okay, and we can also, and when we compare the Democracy Hub demonstration, the method, the approach, the desire to what is the word, to amplify the effect, the desire to amplify the effect of the demonstration, okay, to what the Catholic Church did. These two groups were demonstrating on the same issue, right? You're on the same issue, but the approach and the individuals involved, okay? The leadership of the Democracy Hub are not neutral political actors. Okay, they are not neutral political actors. As we discussed earlier with regard to the Labour Front, I wouldn't want to go into Jampo's, involvement or where he's standing. That is not the issue that was on the platform to discuss. But yes, that is a different discussion, especially knowing that the leader of the Democracy Hub is an active member of the opposition. Okay, and yes,
No.
yes,
I mean, I've heard denials of that position that he
no,
is a member of the NDC.
no. I mean,
Yeah.
if he's not even a card-bearing member, we know that he was a staff at the presidency, at the president's office, former president's office. Okay, he was a staff who was seconded from the Minister of Foreign Affairs to work directly under the president. And once he becomes a political staffer, when a new regime comes on, he lost his job. Okay, he lost his job. So that because it was a political appointment. So when we put those into context, number one, I don't know what the police know from now going, what the police is planning, or the police strategy, let me put it that way, to forestall potential problems. Okay, all these are speculation from my perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, they are speculation from my
I
perspective.
mean, but you're a lawyer, so I mean, I think you're going into some wild
yes, and that is
yeah.
that is why I've made that point that given the alleged crime, okay, given the alleged crime upon which they were arrested, holding them for 2 weeks without bail is excessive. Okay. Excessive. Now, you talked to the you mentioned that you had the Deputy Attorney General. For me, this issue does not go to Deputy Attorney General's desk. No, there are a lot of cases when it happens. In all 16 regional.
No, but are you? He was involved, but are you saying that he shouldn't have been involved?
No, if you say he was involved, I don't know. I haven't heard.
I mean,
what's
he
involvement?
was aware of the case in a way that when he was called, he spoke as if he was in court. Maybe he wasn't in court personally, but his response to the question didn't indicate that this was a low-level case which didn't require the involvement of the Deputy Attorney General. He spoke as if he was the person in court.
Okay, and again, I don't want to, but I haven't heard exactly what that statement is. And that is why I was coming. That
no, but I just relayed it to you. I told you that his response was that it was the judge's decision to remand them, and
that is why I'm coming.
Yeah,
that is where I'm coming. Okay, that within the 16 regions now, okay, there are attorney general department in each region.
Yes.
Okay, where when cases happen, even not the attorney general, when the police when there's an arrest, when there are certain cases, there are certain things that police, certain crimes that the police just deals with it. Okay, police charging to go to court, and then in Ghana, it is not lawyers usually that prosecute cases; it is the police. Okay.
Yeah.
In Canada here, no matter the Canada and the US, no matter the crime, once the person has been arrested, all that the police have to do is gather evidence, and then they will send it to the district attorney's office, and then it's a professional lawyer who will charge. Okay, but in Ghana, it is not like that. It's the police. Okay, police are prosecutors. They do, unless serious criminal cases, then they will send the file to the Attorney General Department.
Yeah.
If it's at the district level, regional level, then go to Attorney General Department, the regional. I don't think they have district level, offices. And then when the case is even bigger, then they will send the case to Accra.
But King, you are talking about how it is normally done.
I'm coming there. But let me land. Let me land. Okay. Let me land. Okay. So in this case, okay, in this particular case, I'm coming to the point where the Deputy Attorney General's involvement may not be necessary in this particular instance. So I'm trying to lay a foundation for the structure of the hierarchy of cases where the Attorney General may come in. Okay, that is where I'm coming. So when cases of grave consequence, or it's so complicated that the regional attorney general cannot make a decision as to whether to prosecute or what direction. Then they will go to the national. They will go to attorney general's office in Accra. And I'll give you an example of a case of where the Canadian girls were kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that case it landed on the decks of a very good friend who is at the Attorney General Department. She has to write. I think that case happened somewhere in Ashanti region, right?
Yeah,
But
I don't recall. Yeah, just vaguely, yes.
Yes, so it has to go there because that case has international, repercussions. So it has to go to the national, office for the Attorney General to, and when it goes there, they will give it to a senior lawyer to analyze the whole case and then write and then issue opinion as to how they should, go about the prosecution. That's how things work. So in this particular case of demonstration, okay, this was an instant. This was something that was happening. It's the police were involved right from the beginning, before the plan, through the planning stages, through the arrest on quote unquote disobeying of the agreed method by which the demonstration should have been carried out. So some of these things, yes, the police has the power to arrest and then prosecute, but because it has a national repercussion, okay, and that is what the demonstrators wanted. They want to draw national attention to this case. So somehow I agree, or I may believe that the Attorney General's office may be involved, but it will not go to the extent to the Deputy Attorney General desk, or to even go to the Attorney General himself, desk, to get involved in this case. So, and this is bail hearing, right? This is just the bail hearing. If it were the case that, they are charging them with serious crime, which may lead to long-term jail sentences, maybe 2 years or more, and given that it's a charged political atmosphere, yes, the Attorney General himself may have to come in to give opinion as to the appropriateness of charging these individuals. For me, I see that it is what the police is trying to do. And again, when it comes to the court, yes, the judge, let me come to the court for instance. The judge does not make a decision. Okay, some people have the impression, or the general public have the impression, that okay, the judge has the power to do whatever they want when the case comes before them. No, the accused lawyer will make a statement, and the prosecutor will also submit statement of fact indicating why these individuals should not be should not be granted bail. And the judge cannot say, okay, I'm denying. It is based on the law that have been written down and promulgated by Parliament. Okay, according to XYBC section so and so, these individuals should be granted bail or should not be granted bail, based on the argument that the two sides have made. Okay, the judge cannot on his own. And recently I heard Owusu Bempah saying that the MPP this blah blah, and therefore somebody called the judge. All those things are, excuse my friend, I mean, it is not that it doesn't happen. Okay, nobody can call a judge and tell the judge that do this, or whatever the judge can do, it has to be referenced within the book, the constitution, the criminal code. If it's not there, he cannot call Zita and say, Zita, okay, I know your mother was involved and this person won bail. Should I? No.
Okay.
Go to the book.
Yeah.
So the problem that the public have, as I stated from the beginning, it stems from our history of authoritarian rule, where a military leader can tell. At that point, you cannot, when a military dictator, because there will be no parliament. The courts are always there.
Yeah.
But you know what's happening to certain judges who decided to follow the law, right? They were eliminated. So in that case, somebody can just call you and then do this.
I mean, yeah. So, King, we understand that, and we understand the history and where we came from. But even in we're in the Fourth Republic. Even in the Fourth Republic, there's some evidence, and so people's mistrust in the system is not just without any warrant, right? There's some indications that they've been tampering from even democratic governments and even the police. I'm tempted to believe that whichever government comes into power tend to use the police to do their dirty work. And for me, it's a matter of degree, right? The NDC as a party is not completely innocent of this. But when we are comparing the magnitude that each political party has used the police as an institution to do their bidding. And with respect to this particular case, I just brought up the issue of the Attorney General and he being called on a radio station and he made these public pronouncements. Now, your argument is that ordinarily a case like this wouldn't come before the Attorney General, which I agree. But we heard him loud and clear on radio. I mean, he could have passed this on to somebody else. But when I listened to him, it sounded to me as if he was in court in person arguing the case. That might not be the case, but there was indication that he was personally involved. Now, I also have people that I know were seriously involved in this case who indicated that throughout the process, there were certain delays and there was indication that the police were taking their orders from a higher authority. For instance, eventually some of the accused were granted bail. They were granted bail by the court, let's say 2 p.m. the day before. And it wasn't until like somewhere 11 a.m. where they finished processing all the documents to effect the bail. We understand that there are red tapes, right? Our bureaucratic system probably would rank among the lowest. The pace at which they move will rank among the lowest in the world. But from this particular case, there's every indication that it is not the good old, infamous red tape in Ghana that slowed this process, but there was a deliberate hand involved in the process. So you have laid out the process. We completely understand, but we are all reasoning human beings, and we can always see indications of tampering with the process.
Yeah. Again, yes. Let me come back. Okay. Again, as I said, there are three prongs to this issue. There's the political, the legal, and the public opinion aspect of it. Even in Canada here and in the US, okay. As you know, I went to law school in the US and went through some of the legal system. In Canada here, yes, I deal with criminal cases, when somebody is granted bail, okay, when police arrest somebody and then go to court and granted bail, it is, yes, all that you will hear is that you grant bail. In Canada here, it's not there, but in the US, now you're in the US, you go to any court near, you will see businesses called bail bonds. Okay.
Yeah.
Bail bond is because of some of these delays in accused individuals who have been granted bail for court, but they cannot meet the bail condition. That is why the bail bond businesses arose. In Canada, having seen that. In Ghana, we have zero.
Yeah, but in the US, it's always because people cannot pay their bill, right?
Exactly.
So these guys will bond them out, right? And it speeds up the process.
Yes. So in this case, okay, the reason in this Ghana case, where you have, I don't know the number, but I'm assuming there are probably about 200 people, or
no, there were 34 of them.
Okay, 34. Let's say 34. Okay, 34. You and me know, or probably should know, that these individuals are low-rank individuals. Okay, these are people who may not even have homes, fixed addresses.
What do you mean? You mean the demonstrators?
Some of the demonstrators.
Many of them are fairly educated graduates.
Yes,
I wouldn't imagine
and that is why some have been granted bail and others have not been granted bail. Because see, I'm trying to allay our fears about I will not say 100% that there may not be some kind of pressure from elsewhere. Okay, but I want to limit it purely to the processes, the legal processes for which somebody has to go through before they are released. Once the court say the bail has been granted. That is all the judge can say.
Yeah.
But from the public perspective, we think that, oh, once the court granted bail, we open the door and the person goes. It doesn't work that way. There are so many processes. If you say present two sureties individuals, okay, your me and you, if I got into trouble and you have to bail me, yes, you have fixed address, you have fixed employment, you have fixed income. These are easy to determine. Okay, in Ghana, it is not like that. But according to the police, they have to follow every procedure to the letter. And if those procedures have not been met, you cannot allow the individual to go. That is what the public don't understand.
Okay.
So from what you're saying that, oh, they were granted bail 2 o'clock until 11, sometimes it could even be 3 days, 1 week, if the person has not met the bail conditions that the court has granted. But the police have a responsibility to make sure that when they are looking for that individual, they may ask the person to bring their passport. The person may not even have a passport.
All right. Okay, King. Yeah. All right, I'll come back to you. But I mean, there's a pattern in this particular case, right? So you can state all the potential drawbacks in the
and that is what we don't want to hear. You see, according to the public opinion, we don't want to hear that.
No, we have heard that.
But
and
from the legal processes, we have to follow.
No, but if there's a pattern, right? If there's a pattern, there's a stumbling block in every step of the way, right? And it's maybe there are other cases that we haven't heard. This is a high-profile case, so some of us who are not lawyers tend to follow it. But even listening to other lawyers who go to court 5 days in a week, they are the ones pointing out some of these unique bottlenecks that appear to show up in this particular case, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. They will say it.
Yeah,
they will say it, but once everything, if you tell me that they are demanding A, B, C, D, to build this individual, and the individual has met A, B, C, but D has not been met, there's then why can't you? No.
All right. I mean, I don't think this is, no, I completely understand you. But Zita, look, some people say that it's become a tool that is used by governments of the day to quell dissent. Denial of bail, for instance, in this particular case, bail has been weaponized as a way of tampering down on dissent by people who have an opinion against the government. You follow this case. King has an opinion. He feels that these are just the everyday, administrative red tapes that we go through in the legal process. I disagree because I followed the case, and I think some of them were deliberate. For instance, all of a sudden, the court grants bail, and police officers are nowhere to be found, right? That they are short-staffed, and that they cannot. The persons who are supposed to literally open the door for these accused to be released are no longer at post. I mean, and these happen in regular cases as well. I have personal experience where my cousin was arrested and we experienced something similar, but it's a tool nevertheless. So what's your position on the weaponization of bails by ruling government? In this particular case, we can single out the MPP government because they're in power, right? If there are cases where the NDC has done so, I think it's appropriate that we call them out as well.
Now I understand King's perspective as a lawyer. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it into law school in Ghana. I didn't make the cut. So it's quite unfortunate. I always wanted to be a lawyer.
Peter, please stay on for us. I will come to you quickly after this.
It's my internet
network, Peter. Okay. It's unfortunate. You are giving me the vibe that you're in Ghana with your consistent.
All right. Okay, Zita, let's hear you. Yes.
You are giving me the doomsday consistent vibe, but it's all good.
I know.
To leverage my master's in social justice and get my LSAT in order and perhaps pursue my law career that never actualized in Ghana. But I now understand King's perspective. He's all about the evidence and all that. But some of us are sociologists and social scientists. And so we draw from broader analysis and we generalize based on, we infer from indicators here to draw some general general perceptions of what is going on. And we are not in the legal field, but again, we need to understand that like Ghana's system, and even abroad, depending on who you are, depending on who you know, the law is used to punish people. And we must accept that in Ghana, the law is, only works for the rich. It works when people who are in power, it affects them, but not for the poor. And so again, I believe this whole bail thing has been weaponized, and to send a strong message against young Ghanaians who are restless. And again, we need to understand the broader context, right? A lot of unemployment. And when you are dealing with young people who do not have anything to lose, when you're dealing with young people who can't even at this stage, Ghanaian women now, our taste is high. You can't take us on a date and you can't afford it. The men are restless. And according to research in America, and King can quote me on it and take me for defamation, but men who haven't had any form of intimacy with women for the past 12 months tend to bottle in a lot of aggression. And
and there's evidence to this research.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, next time come with your source.
Take me to court.
Yes,
Now I'm ready to go to
from the inmates when they come out. You can.
No, next time come with a source. A source
Peter and I needs to be on more platforms. Peter and I need to be, because our thinking is aligned, even though we are not politically aligned. Our thinking is aligned. So I appreciate that. No, there is a research. So and I think that's part of the problem in Ghana now, because young people now, young women are looking for a man who can take care of them. These young men are frustrated. The system is not working, and so they are going out there. They feel like they don't have anything to lose. I think we need to handle them well, and just of course. Like we said, it's always the weakest link that will be used to send a strong message. So right now, you know that if you go there and you're misbehaving, or you are asked not to cross this place, and you could be picked up by the police. And if you don't have a lawyer who wants to clout chase, capitalize on this whole situation and represent you and make sure you get bail, then you're gonna be in there. I think that I think that this whole holding demonstrators and denying them bail, and again, some figures like I'm a governor and all that, it's just an attempt to kind of send a strong message. And I don't think that works well for our democratic process, not our legal process, because I'm not a legal luminary, but it doesn't work well for our democratic process. It is our democratic right to protest. I do know that the police are the ones responsible for, like, charging persons of crime in Ghana. So even though they are responsible for that, they need to be fair and equitable in their processes, because the demonstrators are not just protesting for themselves, but by and large for the future and the family of those who are in the police service as well. So Agana, I am inclined to agree with you that whenever there's dissent, unfortunately, it is only the people who do not have any form of political connections and are downtrodden that are used to send a strong message. And on that note, I think we all need to be tightening up our connections in terms of I'm not good with that, but now I'm going to call up all the old people I know have some strong political power and maintain a really solid relationship with them, because without that, I think that you are going to suffer. And it's not just something that is unique to Ghana. It is unique to all systems, be it in the developed world. We've seen in America where recently a Black man was unalived or given the death sentence, and there was commentary about that. And so to a large extent, we know that systems tend to punish the people who are extremely vulnerable and do not have power. And I think that is what is at play. I don't want to paint it as a Ghanaian picture, because we know that it manifests differently in all parts of the world. Even as a Black woman in Canada, I remember one time I went to the mall. My first few months in Canada, I went to the mall. I had the latest iPad mini, and it got stolen. There was cameras on, but nothing was done. And then just last year, I was in the mall. I bought something. I was gonna shop, and then I put it down. It was taking, and I reported to the police. They had video coverage, but nothing was done. And I know that if people look different, and I say this on authority as a sociologist, if I look different and I represented something different, it would have been picked up to an extent. So we know that these things manifest across different countries, and people who are seen as not who do not have power or are less privileged are often used as the warning sign for other people who intend to follow suit, to be cautious of what they're doing. So, King, we disagree. We will go with public opinion, not the legal opinion. Free our brothers and sisters, get the bill, and let the protest continue.
Yeah. I mean, when you speak to lawyers, they will always like to, it looks like the law has several dimensions. So they can always wiggle their way through using,
Yes,
the
King,
hypothetical.
Are you married? Does your wife win any case? I hope, because if I was married to you, I would give up.
No, you see, I completely, just like, and we when we take in the public stream, right? I mean, as a sociologist, you may come as Zeta with a particular analysis of issue that you understand, okay? And then somebody will stand there, oh, these people, they go to school, all they know is blah, blah, big English and all that, and then they will rubbish you with, just because they don't understand, or because not they don't understand, they don't agree with you, okay? And that is how these issues about the legal processes work. Most people tend to, and especially when it comes to matters that has public concern and where one stands, yes, we always want a particular outcome of a case.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't go with the outcome that we have already, that we perceive, then there's some sort of bias or manipulation somewhere. And that is why I was trying to point out that, yes, the judge, there's always two sides of every issue in law, even in contracts. Big contract that go to litigation, they sign the contract, right? Everybody agrees, and it is signed and delivered, but it ends up in court. When it ends up in court, the facts are there. Everything is there, but there's always two sides to every issue, depending on where you stand. You either agree or disagree, even when faced with the evidence. Yeah, you have this. You got it. No, I don't agree. That's how it is.
All right. So on this particular case, I think it's King that is denying the evidence. I mean, you are the one standing in the way.
It's not about he denying the evidence.
Peter, yes.
He's a lawyer, as he said. And we have so many people in Ghana who are lawyers who also know the process, and they know that, look, this is what happens when you go to court and even grant. But because maybe they may be perceived as NDC or they stand as MPP support, they will definitely defend whatever stance that they have.
Okay.
That is not so. I don't see him to be.
So Peter,
the process be followed.
Yeah.
And that one I agree. Because
what is your position on this? So do you think that what we witnessed with respect to these Democracy Hub demonstrators is the order of the day? It's the normal status quo, the slow pace with which the justice system grinds in Ghana? Is that what played out in this case?
Well, I'm going to say this. Look, it still all boils down to our institutions, okay, which the judicial, plays a very, huge role. You need to let the institution, function and let them work effectively. Look, yes, across the whole, across the globe, every country has its own, and as you said, depending on your status in the, as a citizen or whatever, you may be treated differently. Yes, but then in all, at least the system must work and seems to be working. With our system, yes, political season. This is more of a political case. Whether you like it or not, we can boil it down because of at least it nearness to elections. So definitely politics. And people of influence will pull strings. They will pull strings to make things happen. So you grant a bill, okay? Yes, we'll grant a bill. Okay, we're going to give them a bill. So to them, yes, the people have granted a bill. MPP is making noise. Yes, they've been granted a bill. But then behind the scenes, they are letting the police not do their work. Hey, don't go there. And it's just about the institutions working. And that is what I will side with Kingsley.
Okay, so what are you saying? Are you saying that the institutions were working in this case?
No, they must be
Mhm.
well, I'm just trying to be neutral here, although I'm MPP. They must be
Okay.
seen to work because tomorrow, I mean, we have seen NDC who have, I mean, when they were in power and then demonstrations went on and they were beaten and some, I mean, we have all those records. But the question is, what happened after that? Did the police and did Attorney General take people on who, I mean, maybe were arrested and all that? It's just a charade of we just trying to let things, okay, and we are in power and we are, but is the system that must work. If the system works, no matter what you are, especially when it comes to neutral, where it is influence, when you, because as Zita said, if you are rich, there are some things you can go away with. You can go out, I mean, unless maybe the system, especially now with social media, gets the attention and then they can hold you to, but else you will go free. If you can pay your way through, you will go free. If you have higher people up there, like in Nigeria, they will say if you have a godfather, or you will go free. They will pull the strings and then you will go free.
Okay. Yeah.
But you know, if the
Yeah,
system
but
is working,
so on this particular matter, I actually am of the opinion that if this demonstration was an NDC demonstration, right, and these individuals that were arrested were essentially members of the NDC, the manner in which they were treated, they wouldn't have been treated as such because of the influence of the NDC as an organization. I am of the impression that they wouldn't have been treated the way these guys have been treated.
I don't know if I can come in here.
Easily.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. If they were identified as MDC members, they would have been shown more deference, not more respect. They would have been shown, they would be known, okay, they would be identified as a clear political action with a specific structure, of accountability. Okay. The danger with this democracy hub, which is why, in my opinion, the police is treating them this way, is it's a disguised political opinion action with a potential to snowball. Okay. Yeah,
I mean, this is an overstretch. I think you are
no,
just
no.
Yeah.
Hold on,
Yeah.
no. You realize that prior to the Democracy Hub demonstration, NDC as a party went on demonstration.
Yes.
Okay. And nothing happened. They were not arrested. They went and they also followed the processes that the police, they agree with the police, because it's a party, it's a structure. They have image to protect. There's accountability. If somebody misbehave, you can go to Asidun Katia and say, hey, Asidun Katia, these are your men. You can go to Mahama don't want to be tagged with certain action. Asidun Katia doesn't want to be specifically be denigrated in the public. But this is a pseudo political group where you may, as I pointed out, the leader, or whether it's the leader or a key figure, Baker Vomo, even though it's aligned with NDC, there are a bunch of people whose political identity were not known, whose social accountability were not known. Those individuals are, and Zita can bear me out in it. It's a potential social chaos that is festering. So if you do not send certain message out there, the next time they will go to Agbogloshi, they'll go to Nima, they'll go to where and gather people who have nothing to lose to cause social commotion. But if they were identified as NDC people, the party has an image to protect.
Okay.
And therefore, they can rein in. If somebody misbehave, you can take them on according to their party structure. When these people go haywire, who are you going to hold accountable?
Yeah, I think we have different positions on why they would have been treated differently if they were dyed in the wool NDC supporters. My opinion seems to align with what Peter said earlier on, that if you have some power backing you by way of, let's say, as in the Nigerian case, you have some godfathers or whatever. But I think that they don't have any power behind them, and that's why they were treated that way. I don't think the police were as analytical and forward thinking as you are thinking right now, that this could potentially spiral into something bigger than that. I mean, I think that's a little bit far stretched.
No, it's not fast.
I think it was
It's not
purely.
far-fetched. It's not, like we are saying.
So you're saying that the police thought that this could have kind of spiraled into other organizations, unknown organizations, going on demonstrations.
No.
Yeah,
but unknown arrests. It's not organization.
Agana, these days, it's easy to just form a group. I mean, with social media.
But it doesn't. Yeah, but my point is that you form a group, right? You have the legal right to go on a demonstration, no matter what group you are. You don't have to have sort of a known point of call to organize yourself and go on demonstration. And you shouldn't be treated differently just by virtue of the fact that there's no higher authority that may be held accountable in the event that you do anything wrong, right? The guys were arrested, charged them on the basis of the crimes that they committed. I think it's a democratic right that everyone should enjoy, but you cannot make assumptions that this could potentially lead to something that hasn't happened yet.
As one of the political contestants said, Chada said, that look, every demonstration have an interest. There's an interest.
Yes, of course.
So these people may not have the, like, they may not be known as in for us to know their stance. But they are just trying to help. There's a political interest. They may be, and I mean, foot soldiers and listen of, I mean, opposition wanting to come back to power. And so when they come out and you don't know that you got, so and I understand what Kingsley said. If you don't treat them the way the law is supposed to, maybe another group can be formed somewhere. And as you said, now this was 37. And to the extent
no, we were saying that they were treated unfairly because they didn't have any power backing them. But okay. Okay,
well,
okay, all right, Zita, you agree? I'm surprised. So come in here.
No, from a sociological standpoint and how groups are formed, I don't believe that they'll form a group, but I feel like it would translate into pockets of unrest. I would not say groups per se, but if they were not handled with a stronger or an iron arm, it will begin to become pockets of unrest. And like Peter said, there is this whole new wave on social media that politicians or leaders cannot really control what happens on social media, and that is how people organize. Right now, you don't need a central point of organization. You just need one person who say, oh, we are replicating what is happening in Accra and Kumasi. We're doing a voter region. You just need pockets.
And what is wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it, but like that's what we are saying. And we all agreed last week that because they didn't have any political backing, that's why they were manhandled. Because if they had, MPP doesn't want to be accused of, hey, when NDC people went to protest, look at how they dealt with these people are intolerant, they are this and that, and so they would have handled it better. There's nothing wrong with it, but that is what we are saying, that we are in a political season. And we need to understand within the broader context of 60-something days to election. Ghana is now in the news. I told you there's a guy with over 20 million followers on TikTok, and he reported on this issue on Ghana. He has a huge platform than even some media agencies, right? And so right now we don't, contrary to Kingsley, we don't need to fact verify sites. We don't need to, go to rigorous. Once you have this phone and you can just put it on and you share an information, it goes. So if they don't clamp down that this is the way we will deal with you if you choose to protest this way, it will lead to pockets of unrest across the country.
But my point is that you guys are just making this up because there's really no. Listen,
there's a theory on how groups get
on.
So
my point is
you might be theorizing, and you might say that our theory may not happen. It's just a hypothesis.
I mean, your theory, it's too hypothetical and wild.
Can I refer you to the Kenya issue?
Exactly. I was going to say Kenya.
But that's in order. I mean, you cannot use the Kenyan case as a bad example.
No, we're not saying it's a bad example, but we're talking about how social media.
But we should want that. That's my position.
But Ghana, we should want that. But the thing is, do we have the political climate? And that is the thing. It's not about, it's about.
You guys are making stuff up here, honestly speaking.
No, you see, the point is, this is how I see things. The people have the right to protest, but the police also have the right to keep the peace.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the courts have the right to apply the law.
Absolutely.
Let each one do their job.
work. Let the institution
Yes.
work.
The police did not prevent people. Remember, they did not prevent them from protesting.
Mm-hmm.
The police is only reacting to the result of the protest.
Yes.
The court is applying the law to the result of the protest. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then again, the police is sticking to their mandate to make sure there is peace and quiet in society. You cannot say that the fact that people have, I wouldn't say that you cannot, yeah, you said it, or you shouldn't dwell on the fact that individuals have the right to protest, the police shouldn't do their job. No.
I haven't said that.
The police must do their job.
No.
By curbing excesses, by controlling, crowd, by keeping the society safe.
No.
Remember, somebody died.
Okay,
People
hold on.
have the ability to use the road that they're supposed to use to go to their places. Your protest shouldn't interfere in the others' enjoyment of the.
That was also only it was alleged. We don't have proof that.
Okay. So if there's anybody who is making a suggestion,
the individual has appeared. I appeared on camera. I've seen about 2 or 3 shows that his child died as a result of the protest when he was denied access to the hospital.
If there's anybody making any suggestive argument here, it's you, because you guys made the argument that the police is they're using a heavy hand to prevent a case where this could spiral into something, pockets of demonstrations that could potentially go out of hand. So you guys are the ones making suggestive arguments here. My position is that let the police or let the law work, right? If people go on demonstration, it's the responsibility of the police to manage the situation. If there are excesses and people are taken before court, let the legal system take its course. People shouldn't be treated unfairly, right? Because what generated this conversation to begin with was my position that if these guys were known NDC folks, they would not have been mistreated. Now, and then you guys say, okay, well, the heavy hand was as a result of the fact that because they are not an established organization, the police is trying to prevent the potential of this spiraling into pockets of demonstrators that could potentially destabilize the peace of the country. So if somebody is making hypothetical arguments or suggestive arguments here, you guys are the ones taking that position because you feel that the government has to be excess in its treatment of these demonstrators to prevent a future hazard, which I feel like it's not the way we should look at it.
You don't use words like SS, okay? with the institution, they may be doing just their work. We are looking at from afar and then maybe calling it, and as you terming it is SS, but they may just be doing what is
yes, that's where the disagreement is, that whether they were in excess or they were doing it within the legal limits.
For me, yes. So far, what I've seen is what they are doing is within their. If, as we said before, as soon as the police arrested them, then they took them to where they counterback without going to court, without allowing access to legal representation. Those are the things that I will consider to be excesses. Okay. They arrested them, they brought them before court. The court of law, refused to grant them bail. At the time that the individual sought bail, they were they were competently represented, in my opinion. Okay. So the legal processes is working. The reaction that the public have, or some section of the public have, is that the law should not work. We should just.
No, we are saying that it's in excess. We're not saying that.
For me, there cannot be an excess application of the law.
I mean, the law can be misapplied.
The law always set boundaries within which actors should behave.
Yes.
Okay.
But there are people who can flout those boundaries and still go scot-free.
If only they didn't go to court. If only they didn't go to court.
So there's no misapplication of the law?
No, I don't see it. I don't see that there's a misapplication. When you go to a lower court and there's a misapplication of the law, you go to a higher court. and then the higher court will decide. If there's a misapplication, they will say so, and then whatever relief you were seeking at the lower court, which you were not granted, then the higher court will grant you, and that is still within the law. And that is what this process is going through.
Okay, I mean, we've exceeded our time, but let me give Peter, he hasn't really said much, and then, so yeah.
I watched the video you sent, you showed where the committee in Parliament were showing the water bodies across the country.
Yeah.
My problem with the main opposition party is that what is their game plan? What are they going to do in terms of in relation to Galamsey? They should make it clear. They should make it, because they just want power. And they know the people. And NPP tried to do something like that before 2020 elections. What happened? They virtually lost almost all the seats that they had in the mining communities or the mining areas. All the constituencies, most of them, they just lost the seats. You think that they will? So what is NPP? What is NDC having? What is the roadmap for them, so that we can compare with? Okay, this is what NPP is doing. You are saying you come to do this. We can analyze it from that angle, that perspective. You want power? Tell us what you will do to safeguard Galamsey. Because if it's Galamsey, we have some of your parliamentary candidates who were virtually doing Galamsey. That lady in one of the constituencies that we know, we have all this information. What are they doing? The water bodies. It's not NPP's time that the water bodies started changing. It started changing long, so many years with time, and it's now worse. So
next time I'll bring an NDC person on the show to counter your position.
Let me make just a quick point on what Peter made about the color of the water body. See, in 1986, I was a little boy in, I think, class 4 or class 5.
Zita wasn't born.
Okay. and during vacation,
you want me and Kingsley to fight there.
You see, and during vacation, we went to visit one of my, and of course, that time I had not come to Borg. I was in my hometown, in Asante region. And then we went to one of my uncle's cocoa farm in a town called Nkwinkwina. And that is where I saw gold feeling my eyes for the first time. The first time, and since then I've never seen physical gold before. It was after heavy rain, and somebody just picked an older guy that were going to market with. He just picked the gold like that. So that is gold. So today I don't even know what. When we were traveling, at that time I was too young to even have a seat in the bar. Those were the days of Tata bus. So from my hometown, we go to Kumasi. We pick a car, a Tata bus from Kumasi, went through Obuasi to Dunkwa on Ofin. That time I was reading this geography, JL Anand, geography books, and I've heard River Ofin. I've never crossed it. So when we go to Dunkwa, and this was June, then the other adult we were traveling to, so this is Dunkwa River Ofin. And when I saw it, it was as red as one of those waters that 1986. Since then, I've never taking that route.
Was it a rainy season?
It was June.
Yeah, so if it's rainy season, the turbidity is,
And remember, when these Galamsey issues come up always during the rainy season, when the water's muddy. I'm not saying that there's no Galamsey. You see, so the image, I haven't gone to Dunkwa since then. I haven't gone to Obuasi, that road. I haven't taken it before. So if you ask me, how does River Ofin? I've crossed River Ofin at Ofenso, on my way to Boga. But that one is very small. If you are Dunkwa, it's very, very big. What is the image I have of River Ofin as red, dirty water? So the Galamsey issues, sometimes I know it has a political dimension, but the reality is also there that people are destroying the water body. So sometimes, this is dicey. Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah. With water, especially water quality test is what can really give you real results about the actual, the extent to which the water is polluted. So yes, there can be occasions where you might see the water looking colored, but it's not enough to suggest that. But again, we've seen it over the period where not only in the rainy season, but throughout the course of the year, most of the rivers have evidently changed color. So there are instances where it can be propaganda, but there's also instances where the evidence. Now we are somewhere in between all of this, but the best would be to do a water quality test of all the water bodies. And again, I mean, but before we round up, and I have Peter here, and then King here. We all grew up in the Upper East, and at some point when I was a kid, Galamsey came. I don't know if you were in Bolga at the time, King.
Oh yes, yes, Galamsey at
there was
Boku area. At Boku area, yeah. We call it site. That place
there was a period where Peter comes from
that's my constituency.
Exactly.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, all of a sudden, right? Gold just appeared, and people were mining, and
young guys
they were making a lot of money. And there were certain stereotypes about the people who were making that money. But King, you would agree with me that there was some sort of social, if you like, I mean, I don't know where to call it, disgust towards the act of Galamsey, where well-meaning people in the society, even though there was evidence that there was a lot of money in Galamsey, wouldn't engage in the activity. It was looked upon as if it is not a work of dignity. And and I don't know whether it had to do with the moral aspects of destroying the environment, or it had to do with just how dirty the job itself was.
So far as I'm concerned, at that point, and again, that time, I think that was the time we were secondary school, right? Early 90s. I didn't know if the environmental issues were raised as being discussed today. I don't think that it was environment. Maybe those who were in the field of environmentalism.
No, but locally, indigenous communities have a sense of regard for the environment in the way that if it is being denigrated in any form or degraded in any form, there's some sense of ownership, right? There's a spiritual relationship with the environment, such that you don't conduct yourself in a way that would defile the environment, right?
Yes. So yes, and again, given the fact that, as I said, that Galamsey was looked down upon, I personally visited that site about 2 or 3 times, because that time my mother was a trader, right? And then she sent a lot of goods there. I know one time she nearly died through an accident on that road, and I visited there. It was like a Sodom and Gomorrah environment. I think that is one of the reasons why people who engage in Galamsey were, quote unquote, looked down, as Galamsey was a derogatory term, because the moral standard within that community was very low. It was free for all. That was the place that I also first saw weed for the first time. You go there, people dry weed in the open public. People were dying, and at that time I knew certain people who had come all the way from the western region. A lot of them were from there, Obuasi area, who go there to engage in Galamsey. I think it was the risky nature, the low moral standard, and of course, generally, it was the people who don't have specific skill set.
Thank you. That's what I just
who were engaged, in Galamsey. So the combination of all those things, today, and they were doing it for themselves. So far as they were doing it for themselves. Not like today that somebody will buy a site and then send people there and then pay them either daily wages or monthly wages for them to get the gold for them. That time, people that I knew go there and do it, for themselves. So it's a combination of all, which gave it a derogatory, image.
All right. Okay, Peter is you are from the area.
It was yes. I had an uncle who was in a pastor, and I mean, was in this small scale mining. I mean, it's even their concessions that were sold to this big company, Cardinal Resources. So eventually, I used to supply, ice blocks. You pick them from the police, the wives of this police station. They have diffusers out there.
Yeah.
Early in the morning, like between 4 a.m. and 6, you go there, you load your trucks, or sacks of ice block. You pack them in a I had this caravan vehicle. Then you send it there in the morning, and then they put it in penny the water. They just tie it. People buy it, and then later on, pure water came. They would just freeze it, and that was like a lot of money people were making. But as you said, I don't see it as it being low key, but It was because those people were going there, had nothing to do. We were in school. I mean, we were in boarding house. You go to Notre Dame, you come back, and then even to have fun, you just travel to such areas and then see what they are doing. And the people who identify you that, oh, you don't belong here because you're a school going, I mean, go to your school. But then you see people really hustle.
Yeah.
And in this time, the economic situation is different. And I can tell you, it's even now the rich people and people like you and I who have the resources who are actually funding such businesses. They will go and then funding it means that you identify a place that had gold, you give them money to they dig and go there because they have to feed, they have to eat, and what else they will not.
Yeah, but that's where I raised the moral question, because historically it wasn't the case that any respectable person in society never really even sponsored the activity. Right?
Well,
So why is it that all of a sudden,
but all of a sudden too, in my
Yeah.
constituency, we saw the impact of Galamsey. Like people who were not virtually became like build nice houses and then all that. And so you realize that later on, it's not because as I said, I have he's educated and then a pastor, but he's virtually into it, and so I don't see any moral.
Okay.
It's not about survivor. I don't see it is about survivor. People want to survive.
Yeah, but Zita, maybe let's just end with you on this matter, because I think that we have lost some moral code that guided us. I mean, we've been exposed to the neoliberal world where all the nice things, the nice consumer goods in the West are exposed to us now. We feel that they become necessities, and so the things that blocked us, maybe morality was superior to some of those things, but now these things appear more shiny than holding a certain moral code. And I would say that has contributed to what we are currently observing with respect to Galamsey. We're in survival mode, as Peter said, but
of course, and I agree. But again, we need to understand that capitalism lacks humanity. So yes, that is this. Capitalism lacks humanity. You can't be anybody. I said this on my social media platform the other time, and I said anybody who holds a considerable amount of wealth is dabbling in something immoral and vicious. That is just how capitalism works. You can't have access to it. And that was in relation to the American artist rapper Didi currently facing. And I said that it's not just him, but anybody who sits on tremendous amount of wealth is into something. Their level of conscience is low, and because you can't have that. And so what you are saying ties to like what we said the other time. This whole Galamsey thing is tied to a silent cartel. We need to have that, understand that some of the people who are funding it are the ones funding some political parties, mostly all the political parties in Ghana. Yeah. And so you clamping down on it is you are biting the hands that feed you. It's political season. And I was listening to Joy News. I don't remember the name of the professor, but he made this claim, an allusion that even some of the funders of these Galamsey activities are not residents in Ghana. They are not, they don't live in Ghana, but they have the resources to do that. And so you will say morality, but Ghana, there are days where you open your door and your chicken will be flying over, it's gone. There are days where you put your iPhone, go to church right now and go put your iPhone, it will be stolen. In the church, in the house of God.
I know someone who lives in the US and bought an excavator, and the excavator is used for Galamsey activities.
Yeah. So we need to see
foreigners, Chinese. Yes.
Yes. And so we need to see this thing as capitalism has no morality. Right now, it's all about who has access to money and power, because Galamsey is connected to some level of having political power. So until we are able to see it for what it is, the morality is over. The days where people are afraid, say, if you go and follow somebody's wife, you die early, it's over. Today, we are all humping each other. So I know you are stuck in the morality, but Agana, it's right now, it's about money and what you have an influence. That is what people are going with. And I just want to end by saying that if Ben Epson can be given political projections, and I think as a sociologist, we cannot give projections on how groups forms and how if certain groups are not contained, they can become problematic in the future. So we are only looking at the pattern and saying that this is what is happening. And these are the perceptions of political actors. If we do not clamp down on this level of dissent, because these people don't have any strong political backing, it might trickle into pockets of different forms of dissent across the country. And we are in a political season and we cannot allow that happen.
Okay.
So we are only projecting, just like the way political scientists project in terms of what the polls will look like.
Oh, okay. Well, I disagree entirely with that projection, but anyway, look, my intention was for us to be here for an hour, but we went 2 hours, and I hope none of you mind that we went over time. It was a lively conversation, and yeah. Maybe
I would have been driving
to on Peter because he kept going in and out. And
yes. Unfortunate. Yes.
There was doom so at my area here. Just
doom so far.
Connectivity. I was getting frustrated. I nearly just as a look, let me leave.
Yes.
I come on with my phone and then and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
If I was in Edmonton, I would have been driving to King's house so we can go and fight in person.
Yeah. No, King is in Edmonton. You are in Calgary, 3 hours away.
I was supposed to be in Edmonton. I had a call on Friday from the University of Alberta about working with the Vice President's Office on Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. But I'm like, nah, I'm not coming to Edmonton. So I wish I had taken that offer on. I would have been fighting with. I would have said, give me your address. I'm driving there right away, so we can tackle it out in person. But it's good to meet Kingsley, and hopefully I get to be on a platform with Peter again. I don't know. I have an affinity for the Northness. I don't know. So far in Canada, all the Northern guys have been so sweet and nice to me. So
if you want a Northern husband, just say it.
From voter region to Northern, I'm going straight.
If you want a Northern husband, say it, and we'll find one for you. Anyway. All right. So King, thanks a lot for coming on.
You're most welcome.
Yes. And Peter, thanks. I mean, I hope I will get you guys on again. You become regulars, and Zita is one of my loyal panelists.
Please break Kingsley because our fight is over. I'm going to not over. We will continue until God comes.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. And I wish you a happy Thanksgiving, Canadians, and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Bye. Yeah.
And thank you, guys.
Yeah. Bye.